Thank you for coming here tonight. I really appreciate everything you do. I think you're really innovative in the way that you explain your votes on Facebook. And my question is in regards to that. How do you think that social media, as it becomes more and more involved in our lives, is going to affect both the liberty movement and the face of politics in general?
I think it's going to have a tremendous impact, and one of the great impacts it's going to have is it's going to start to break down the party system. 10, 20, 30 years ago, before you had social media, before you had the proliferation of information like we have now, people really needed parties to understand where the candidates were coming from. So candidates couldn't really reach everyone as easily as they do now. So the way you figured out what a candidate stood for was you determined, oh, that person's a Republican, or that person's a Democrat, or they're in the Libertarian Party. And it gave you an idea of where they stood. But at this point, we don't really need parties in that same way. Because when I vote on something, I can go right back to my constituents and explain to them why I voted the way I did. And I don't need the party to explain it for me. I don't need to be attached to the party in the same way that someone 20 or 30 years ago would need to be. I don't think someone doing what I'm doing could very easily be in office 20 or 30 years ago. Ron Paul got into office, which was extremely unusual. And that's why he was the lone person there fighting for liberty for so many years. It's because of how difficult it was to do what he was doing for so long. Now, with social media, I think it's a lot easier to be like me, and to be like Ron Paul, and to be like Rand Paul. It's easier to be independent and to do the right thing. So I think that's going to be the main impact, sort of allowing people to be independent and breaking down the party system.
Thank you for your answer, and thank you for coming here tonight, and thank you for your work in the liberty movement. I appreciate it.
I would say that a large part of what you just said, just the ability of this movement to sort of circumvent establishment opinion, what you're supposed to believe and not supposed to believe, things like Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. I don't know that half of this would have been possible in another day and time, right, as you mentioned. But next question.
Thank you, Congressman Amash. You're just like everybody else probably here feels the same way. You are one of my personal heroes. I do follow you very closely, you know, on, as some people would say, the Facebooks or whatever. But it's actually, my question actually pertains to general government transparency.
Didn't Frazee say the Twitter the other day?
Yeah, the Twitters. Which is great. But my question pertains to general government transparency. You know, because you have such personal transparency with your constituents, and you also, you know, you co-sponsor bills like Audit the Fed, that, like how Dr. Paul has been spearheading that effort. Do you plan to translate your personal transparency that you have with your constituents into other bills to get more general transparency in these government departments where, you know, they're doing whatever they want to us, and we still have no idea what they're doing?
Yeah, we're gonna we're looking into a variety of bills now. We're just one office, and believe it or not, congressional offices don't have that many staff. I have basically 3, 4 people at most who actually look at legislation, who can work on this stuff. And when you are operating an office like mine, spending so much time on policy, understanding every single bill, you can imagine we spend, I don't know, 5, 10 times as much time on policy as a typical office. Because we're actually reviewing the pieces of legislation, understanding them, which actually eats into my time to introduce new legislation. There are some people who introduce all sorts of bills. I don't think that's particularly effective, actually. I think it's better to focus on a few things. And I focused on my balanced budget amendment to the Constitution this past term, and I'm going to continue to focus on that and push that bill. I focused a lot on... I focused a lot of time and energy on the NDAA. I mean, that's a bill for us. Fighting that, and even though we lost that battle, we made huge gains in the public. We put it on the map. You know, me in the House and Rand in the Senate, we really put this on the map so that people could discuss it and debate it, and so it could become a part of sort of mainstream conservative thinking. We're working on transparency bills right now, But the bills that I'm focused on at this time are legislative process transparency bills, making sure that people have time to read the bills. Right now, under our rules, someone can introduce a bill. They say that they have a 3-day rule. Well, someone can introduce a bill on Tuesday night, really late at night, and the bill can be taken up on Thursday morning. And they call that 3 days. You know, you could take it up at 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, and they call that 3 days, even though it's a little more than 24 hours. And there's also a huge loophole to the 3-day rule, the current 3-day rule. You can introduce a bill and take it up 24 hours plus a little bit later, but you can also, they can substitute in a new bill at the last second, and that complies with the 3-day rule. So they could give you the full 72 hours even, and then the bill comes to the floor, and they just swap out a new bill for the old bill. It just has to have the same bill number.
That's fucking bullshit.
Wow.
And they say, well, you had it for 72 hours to read. Well, no, you didn't. It's a totally different bill. They could take a, they could put a bill in other words, they could introduce a bill that just says, hello, how are you doing? And then 3 days later, substitute in a 3,000-page bill, and they say, well, you had it for 72 hours, and vote. You have to vote on it right away. So that's a huge loophole, and we're trying to stop that. One of the bills I'm working on would say that anytime you change anything in the bill, even a comma, you have to start the time over. That's just one of the things I've looked at. One of the ones one of the things we've looked at, kind of kiddingly, is a bill that would require that we record the time that someone votes in the record, because some people wait till the last minute to vote on something, so they can see whether it's going to pass or fail. And it would be interesting to have it be required that when someone votes, the time that they record the time that they vote is also recorded, because you might see a pattern eventually of some people who wait till the last second or wait to see if something passes before they vote on it. But I'm not sure that would actually go anywhere, a bill like that.
Do your colleagues ever complain that you're making them look bad?
Well, from time to time, of course, I get pushback from some colleagues, and other colleagues are happy about it. You know, there are a lot of people who come to me and say, you know, I admire what you're doing, and some of them say, I wish I could do what you're doing. But you know, it's if you take the path I'm taking, it's a lot of work, and you know, it's not easy for some of them who've been doing things a totally different way to operate the way I do, especially when it comes to fundraising. I don't raise money from PACs, not because I don't accept PAC money, but PACs don't send me money. And PACs don't send me money because of how I operate. I raised the least money from PACs of any member of Congress the quarter before last, and we haven't done the calculations, but I assume this last quarter I was also the lowest in Congress. And just because they don't send me any money. You know, I think Young Americans for Liberty PAC sent me probably the most. And if other members are going to do what I'm going to do, then they have to accept a world where they don't raise money from PACs. And for a lot of them, that's the end of their careers. Like if you look at my last quarter, I raised almost nothing from PACs, but then I raised the most from individuals of anyone in the Michigan delegation. And that includes, we have committee chairmen in our delegation, the chairman of Ways and Means, the chairman of Energy and Commerce, and I outraised them from individuals. So to do that, though, you've got to work really, really hard on explaining yourself, on being open with your constituents about things, and you've got to basically move away from the whole PAC idea, and for most of them, that's just not possible.
Well, thank you for answering my question, Congressman Amash, and it's truly an inspiration and an honor to finally meet you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Congressman Amash. Actually, you are now absolutely an inspiration to me, especially especially to me, and also to these young activists for liberty. Now, actually, I understand that as a republic, we've been going through, like, with war, with healthcare, in regards to Obamacare for that matter, and also, with immigration. But we never paid attention to education. My question is, do you think in the House of Representatives, or even in the Senate for that matter, in your career, think there should be a repeal in the No Child Left Behind Act?
I really saw that one coming. Yes, of course, yes.
Good job, Chris. Good job.
Well, at least that answers my question.
Yes! Yes!
But seriously though, Congressman, thank you very much, and I will hopefully, probably once I'm eligible to run for the presidency, I will hope to see that thing happen.
In fact,
That's the title of that one, and the question got answered.
when I was in the legislature, I was the only rep in either party to vote against all of Race to the Top. So I'm with you.
And that's why I videotaped all of that.